Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another one of my videos. I wanted to upload this one about a different topic today, and this video is going to touch on narcissistic mothers, covert incest that they do to their children, particularly their sons, and the concept of the son husband. So before we get into that, I just want to address a couple things that if you need to any type of personal private help beyond the scope of a YouTube video, please contact me via my website. At the contact page on my website, I'm going to put that in the description box, the link to that. If you need to book a consultation, I'm getting quite busy with them right now, so if you want to do that, the sooner the better. But of course, you can do that at any time. I'm just a few weeks out for bookings. And secondly, I wanted to add that I am not a psychiatrist. I'm not a marriage counselor, and so the information that I give in these videos is for education purposes only. I am a life coach with a specialization in narcissistically abusive relationships, childhood trauma, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I have other certifications in the trauma-based fields, and if you have any questions about my credentials, you can go to the CV link on my website, and everything is outlined there. So we're just going to get into the narcissistic mother-son husband dynamic. And I'm not picking on one particular gender here. I'm sure and actually guaranteed that this also applies to narcissistic fathers and their daughters sometimes. I'm not personally as familiar with that though. But a narcissistic mother, say she has one or more sons. She will groom a chosen son. Oftentimes this son will have narcissistic personality disorder or borderline. He'll be a male borderline, but not always. Sometimes this chosen son does recover and as an adult and goes no contact with the mother and heals and has a good life and recovers from that position. But we're talking about the ones who don't, and the ones who choose to go into their adulthoods and continue in their adulthoods having a basically romantic relationship with their mothers by any means necessary and at any cost. And this is the concept that I learned a little bit about the son husband. And so a few months ago, it was brought to my attention by a couple of friends, a YouTube channel. He's a life coach named Ollie Matthews, and I haven't seen a lot of his work. I haven't watched a lot of his videos, but he does some really great stuff in the realm of this son husband. So if the people who introduced me to him are watching this, thank you, because he does some really great work in regards to that. And I was also watching a video by Jill Wise of The Enlightened Target, and she does a really good video of this concept of the son husband. She doesn't call it that like Ollie Matthews does, but I'm going to put some links in the description box for more viewing about this phenomenon. Because I think it's really worth looking into a little bit more, and both of them have really great videos on this. So this, like I said, this is a son that the mother will groom from a very young age to be her surrogate spouse, and they are effectively living as a married couple for the rest of their lives. And it may not be an actual physical or sexual relationship, although many times it actually is. But it will be such an enmeshment that the son will give up absolutely, the son worships this woman as a god and will give up absolutely all of his romantic relationships in life, and even friendships, jobs, in order to serve and to please his narcissistic mother. And if he is a borderline or narcissist himself, actually, he will team up with his mother to target people, and so that they can feed off each other's narcissistic supply. A more extreme example of this would be, I don't know if you've ever looked into the couple, it's a pop culture thing, but there was a mother and son years ago. The mother's name was Sante Kimes, and she was a really psychopathic grifter, and she was basically married to her son, who participated in all of these crimes with her. And they were living as a married couple. They acted as a married couple. It seemed that they were. And so it's a relationship that is much beyond just a close mother-son relationship. And this is something that if you're a woman if you notice these red flags with a man that you're dating, that his relationship with his mother is more than just a good mother-son relationship, the sooner you can get out, probably the better, because it usually just gets worse with age. If the son is an adult and doesn't even realize that this is wrong or that this is an issue, you're not going to convince him. And the best thing you can do probably is to just get out of that situation, because you're always going to be, if you choose to pursue this relationship or stay in this relationship, if you're married to somebody like this, the fact of the matter is you're always going to be a mistress to a married man who is married to his mother. That's the best that you're going to come in, unfortunately. And that's the same with the father in this situation, who's married to this woman, or a romantic relationship, who's married, who's interested in this woman. Maybe she has a son from a previous relationship. You're always going to feel like a last resort. And they're trying to make you feel that way. They're literally triangulating you so that you can fight for them with their mother or with their son. It's very, very sick. But that's not a situation that is likely to get better. And you really have to talk to yourself and see if this is something that you're okay with living in. And you might not even know the extent of how close this relationship actually is. And even sometimes they're even really quite open about it. Like, they'll say things about how this man might say he's telekinetically connected to his mother, or that they were soulmates in a previous life, or that they're best friends. And I have a son myself, so when I hear about close mother-son relationships, it kind of touches my heart, and I think that's how they get targets as well, because it's not a close mother-son relationship. It's an incestuous one. Oftentimes, the man will be living well into his adulthood with his mother, and it's not for any type of temporary situation. This is long term, and he will have no problem betraying you and leaving you when you need it the most for this other woman, because he is married to her. Like, that's his soulmate. And there's been situations that I've heard that are so extreme that the man will leave in the middle of delivering his child because his mother calls with some drama, and 100% the mother comes before his wife or his children. A fairly disturbing one that I heard about recently was a young lady who was dating one of these son husbands, and he had revealed some painful information to her about his childhood, so she decided to do the same. And she mentioned, I think as a teenager, that she had been sexually assaulted. And this man took it upon himself to go to his mother with that information, which the woman he was dating did not authorize or permit, or say that was okay, and she had never met the mother. So he ran to his mother with that information, and then he had told her that evening that how brave she was and thank you for sharing that with me. Then he went and told his mother, and the two of them teamed up to use that information against the girl that he was dating. And he broke up with her the next day, saying, you're just too, it's just too much, because your story of having been raped triggers my mother, and so I can't keep dating you. Even though he chose to go and tell her the information. Like, really sick and twisted behavior that this couple engages in, because that's what I'm going to call them. They're a married couple. So they target people in those ways. Their identities have fused, so they don't even know. Like, the son in this situation is so far gone that he doesn't even know where his thoughts begin and end, and where his mother's begin and end. He doesn't even know if it's him who actually wants to be dating this girl, or it's his mother, because their identities have become entirely fused and entirely enmeshed. And that's I believe why Ollie Matthews discusses the borderline aspect of this, because once you're dealing with a cluster B personality disorder, there really is no I believe there's treatment for anything, but that person really needs to want it, and you being in their life is actually preventing them from ever facing enough consequences that they would get to the point of doing something about it. So if you're in a relationship with somebody like this, it's literally by the fact that you're in the relationship with them is literally enabling this dysfunction, and him and his mother thinking that this is normal. It's only when, and even then it probably won't change, to be honest with you, it's only when enough people walk away, and maybe the sons start seeing, like, okay, maybe I would want a relationship with a woman one day that's healthy, because no healthy woman is going to stick around that. And he would have to get to that point, almost like an alcoholic or a drug addict who is not a narcissist has to get to the point of, okay, I need to change this. There's been enough consequences now. I need to do the work. And so, son husbands, there are some who have recovered, who have cured. But they have to get to that point. They have to not have a personality disorder themselves, and that has to be when enough life consequences have hit them in the ass that they're gonna, go no contact from the family, and be single for a long period of time and do the work. but when you're enmeshed, when you're talking about a son husband, they're so enmeshed that to be able to break away from that when your identity is fused with another person, I would guess is near impossible. And to stick around waiting for that to happen is it's only harming you. And I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life, but you have to ask yourself if that's really how you want to spend it, either as a man or a woman, because unless that person's children are very young, it's disturbing behavior, and you don't need to come in last to somebody, right? If you're their spouse, you're their spouse. If you're their partner, you're their partner. You don't need to compete with somebody's son or somebody's mother in some weird dynamic because they're having an affair, basically. So that's something to think about. But like I said, I'm going to put a couple more links in the description box of this video to explore this concept in further depth. And if you are one of these recovered son husbands, this video is not for you, and I think you're really awesome that you were able to get away from that, and really commendable. I have heard of it happening, so that's awesome. Or if you're married to somebody who is able to do that permanently and successfully, that's great. This video is not for you either, but it is for people who are seeing some very weird red flags between a son and his mother and what that might actually be. And it's not just a loving mother-son close relationship. I promise you. So before I wrap up here as well, I wanted to touch on something, because I got a couple emails recently asking me why I no longer talk about the political tyranny type stuff that